he had his hand around my neck. And I was just so afraid. All I could think about was he going to kill me while my son played in the next room? I am a survivor. The last time I allowed him to be around the kids, me and him, we just were not a couple at all. This is after I relocated. This is when I had given him a second chance. And at that point, I told him, and I made it very clear, the only reason why I'm allowing you around me is so that you can have a relationship with your children. At that time, I had 2 kids. And he was adamant that he wanted to see them in their environment, not out in public somewhere. It had to be in the house, which is very stressful to me. I mean, this is my house. I pay all the bills. I was living someplace quite expensive, just because I wanted to feel safe. So it was a very secured environment, a gated community. Security walked the premises. I had to pay for that, and I had to pay a lot to live that way. And here I had allowed him in my safe zone. And to show him that I had nothing to hide, I said, you can have free range of the apartment, and I will go into my bedroom and close the door. And I was in my room, and I was actually on the phone with my counselor because I was dealing with a lot of stress and anxiety with him being in my house. And instead of playing with his kids and spending time with them, he would just go, and I could hear him going through my drawers and going through my stuff throughout the apartment. And at that time, we went through this thing because I wanted to color my hair, right? Don't live with this dude. I'm not in a relationship with him. I'm hundreds of miles from where he lived. He came here to see them. And, you know, he's mad because I went and got some hair color without his permission. So I was doing some sneaky shit, you know, like what? So I remember he came busting in on the room, and I was on the phone, and he's like, oh, you on the phone with some nigga while I'm in the next room? I was on the phone with my counselor. So my counselor heard the whole incident, which is, I guess, a blessing in some things, because he actually had it and he was a witness to it. But he came in the room to attack me, and I was yelling at him, like, get out of my room, leave me alone, get out of here. And we're yelling back and forth and back and forth. And I picked up a mirror that I had, like a floor-length mirror, to hit him with it. But he grabbed it before I can hit him with it and got on top of me and started choking me. And, you know, I was just like, really, like in my mind, I'm just thinking, like, really, like, this is it? This is how I'm going to go out in my own house? And then being so upset with myself that I didn't make contact and I should have hit him. Why? How come I didn't get a chance to hit him hard enough, or to hit him at all, to protect myself? Like, I saw him lunging and coming at me. I grabbed the first thing, and I wasn't successful, and all it did was anger him. And I guess he realized what he was doing, and he jumped off, and then he ran out. And I had an alarm system in my apartment, and I activated the alarm and everything like that, and called the police and let them know what happened. And even though they knew where he was, because I knew he went to his cousin's house, there was nothing the cops could do because they didn't have a warrant. And that was really frustrating to me, because there's certain laws that's in place. There's certain protocols that law enforcement have to take because it's legal. They can't, you know, violate people's legal rights and liberties. And that includes certain criminals and things that they know, criminal activity that people do. Like, they still have a certain procedure that they need to adhere to, which is really messed up, because victims don't have that same privilege. Victims don't have as many privileges as it seems as criminals do, where they can commit acts and they're protected, because I can't go in there and search for you if I don't have a search warrant, you know. But if somebody wants to victimize you, they don't go, well, I want to come here in your house and attack you, but, you know, I need to make sure I got permission first, because nobody would give permission, you know. So it's just like, a cop seem like they always 2 steps behind criminals, because they get to do what they want. They don't care about the laws. But the cops and attorneys and judges, they have to follow certain laws and procedures. And in times of need or emergency, is kind of scary. The thing about that incident that stands out to me the most is that that was the incident in my mind where I said, enough is enough. It was no longer about me and him. This was solely him being able to have visitation rights and to see his kids. And me granting him that, even though he wasn't being financially supportive or being there for his kids emotionally, I wanted him to have that because I wanted him to have a relationship with his children, because I didn't have one with my father. And I felt like the kids need a dad. They need their dad in their life, no matter how screwed up he is. They need to have a certain relationship with him. And in that moment, I realized that it's not about the kids, and he really don't care about them, or he would have spent time with them. And that it wasn't really about the kids, or he would have attacked me while my kids was right there, or in the next room. And, you know, I didn't know my son saw the incident. It wasn't until later on that day that my son expressed to me that he did see him choking me. And that's probably why he jumped off of me like that, is because my son was watching, which I didn't realize because I'm laying down. Like, how can I know? And that scared me too, because I don't want my children having that narrative or that thought or that image in their minds or in their heads, because my children are so precious. You know, I was always trying to protect them from everything. And here I was, and I was exposing them to something that they didn't need to be exposed to, because I thought I was doing what was best. So I realized that I had to do really what was best for them. And as hard as it was and how dangerous it was for me to say, no, not again, I had to do that. Not to mention that when I filed the report, you know, the police came to me and said, look, it's too many reports. You've filed this report, you didn't have a protective order. You are violating the order by allowing him around you and your kids. This is it. This is it. If anything else happens, you are considered an unfit parent. We will take your children and we will put them in foster care. You cannot let him see your children. If he wants to see your kids, he has to go to court, and he's going to have to ask for visitation, and he's going to have to get supervised visitation. If you decide on your own that you are going to allow him to see your kids, and we find out about it, that'll be the last time you will have your children. When they said that, I was just like, my children are not going to end up in foster care, because I done heard too many bad stories about what happened to kids in foster care. And him being angry at me did not compare to me putting my kids in danger by allowing him around them, number one, or me putting them in danger in a chance of them excuse me having to go into foster care. So yeah, it was a hard decision, but it was one that I had to make for my children, and I did.